everyone, and welcome
to the
podcast.
Wow, good job, guys.
I know, we did it.
Yay.
Meet up next time.
Yeah, see you guys later.
Have a good one.
Just kidding.
Outro music.
So this is episode 6, and today we are going to go over what we've been playing recently, and then in our second topic, we are going to be talking about esports and the idea of watching other people play games. Today I have Will.
Yeah, that's me.
And Jaeger.
Hey, what's up?
I guess we'll go into talking about what we've been playing recently. Do any of you feel like going first?
I would love to go first.
All right, perfect.
I have been playing Need for Speed Underground.
Is it the
What the
GameCube one?
2.
Or no?
Number 2. Oh, yeah, it's for the GameCube. It's awesome. It actually, if for anybody that doesn't know what the Need for Speed series is, you drive around in cars and there's drifting and drag racing and putting decals on your car. And
Vin Diesel's in it.
No, he's not.
Unfortunately
He's not, though. Those are the movies.
Paul Walker?
Just learn your R.I.P. Anyway, so it's a racing game series, and it has a lot of very, very dated references throughout the game, which is awesome. Brooke Burke is in it, which is pretty dated, I would say. I think it came out in 2004. It's a pretty standard story. You're a driver, and then you end up in this new city, and you got to work your way back up to the top, and your car got wrecked, and there's some bad guy or something like that tried to kill you, so now you're trying to
You race cars.
Sounds
race your
standard.
way back up to the top, and you get to put underglow and hydraulics and neon on your car and that sort of stuff. Gameplay wise, it's really good. It handles really, really well. That's the only mechanic in the game is driving, really. There are a lot of other intricate mechanics in certain types of races, but obviously the driving should feel good, and it actually really does. You feel like any mistake you make, you feel as if you made the mistake and it's your fault. So when you try and drift around a corner and you crash into something, you're going too fast, whatever, you never feel like the game gypped you, and you never feel like the AI is like too hard and is beating you. They're difficult and it's an accomplishment to beat it, but it always feels like a challenge and not like, oh, you screwed up, now you lost, now you have to restart the race, which is, I think, pretty cool. For when it came out, it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it looks really good for a GameCube title.
Yeah, it does. It's still, it looks passable,
Yeah.
honestly, even today.
A lot of GameCube games have like more polish, I want to say, than some of the other games that came out on the time on other systems.
And like a lot of games during that era, the cutscenes are all told in storyboard-esque, comic-esque kind of,
Like stills.
Stills that then fade into another still.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the best parts about playing the game again, because obviously I played it a lot when I was a kid, seeing a trend here.
Yeah, are you just going through your GameCube collection, like your backlog, and just kind of
No.
going through it?
No. Yes.
Oh, you did just pick up a GameCube recently, did you?
I did, yeah. I did buy a GameCube
Oh, what
kind of
happened to your
recently.
GameCube?
Same thing happens to every GameCube. Got dropped on the stairs. Just kidding.
Well, mine certainly didn't.
I honestly don't even remember.
It's
what
actually
happened
a
to my
really
GameCube.
long story that I think if I tell, I might get a little emotional about, so we'll save that for another time.
Oh,
All right.
man.
Next time on the podcast.
That's the whole topic.
I think
Will's childhood.
one of the best parts, no, it was actually like my college, freshman year of college.
Oh.
Someone broke it.
Oh, I actually remember this story now.
Yeah, we'll get into that at some point.
Shit.
One of the best parts about the game,
I may
playing
or
it
may not have been
again
involved.
today.
It was you.
I don't remember.
It wasn't
Just
you.
kidding.
I specifically remember something about Star Fox Adventures in a bed.
Yeah, there was a bet involved.
Holy shit! Star Fox Adventures broke your game.
Kind of.
Dude, I was thinking, like, when you're talking about good racing mechanics of that game, some of like the worst racing sections in a game. Star Fox Adventures.
Oh,
you
God,
remember the
brutal. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like
Like,
Yeah,
one
when
I
you
can
take
remember.
the ice
handle's
speeders down
fine.
there.
But like the whole objective of each racing section was to destroy the enemy,
Yeah, it
and
was
every time you hit them, you get launched back like a million.
it was a
feet.
demolition derby, but on like a straight like course, which
It was
made
like
no
a figure
sense.
8.
Bad
Got some
boy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the best part.
I think one of the best parts about Need for Speed is it was an era of where everything was underground, and whoever made video games were like, kids like things that are underground, let's name things underground. Tony Hawk Underground, Need for Speed Underground, and everything. Sonic Underground. Call of Duty Underground.
Farther back, yeah.
There's this real feel of like the game was made by adults who don't fully have a connection to what was cool at the time. So they kind of went on like, they've like Googled like what a kids like and just like kind of adapted it from that. Like what do kids think is
probably
cool?
just
Cars,
watched Fast and the
Speed.
Furious and we're like, we should probably make this.
Yeah, we should
film.
probably just make this into some sort of video game. But it's funny because one of the guys that, you know, is your buddy in the game or whatever, and he kind of does the tutorials and he explains the different, there's drift racing,
Sure.
which is drifting, obviously, circuit races, sprint races. There's another thing called drag races where you don't actually control the car itself. You can switch lanes. It's almost like a runner. And then what you have to focus on is the shift points of your car. And then you have to like strategically use your NOS and you have to avoid oncoming traffic and stuff. It's actually really cool. But when this guy explains it to you, he says it in this, his tone of voice is just, it's so try-hardy and hilarious that like, he says things like, oh yeah, man, when you're gonna take your car around this drift, make sure you get your car tuned up tight so you can get really tight points or something like
Is
that.
it the same guy from Crazy Taxi?
It might be his little brother.
Yeah.
No, it's funny because it's like so painful almost, but like hilarious at the same
So
time.
bad it's good.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, the rest of the game is good. That part is definitely trying to appeal to like 13-year-olds. And as like a fully grown man baby, hearing that is just, it's funny and goofy.
Yeah.
And like when they say things like radical and tubular, I'm like, no, like that
Dear
doesn't
God.
go here. Like you don't say that. Like we're not on the
I
West
always say
Coast. We're
radical.
not
Do you say
surfing.
tubular?
I should.
They literally use the word tubular. I'm like, it's a street racing game. Like, we're not in California. Like, why would you say that? And that's what I mean when, like, some of the game feels like it was made by people who Googled what kids in 2004 thought was cool. It reminds me of the scene in Triple X, which actually did have Vin Diesel, when
The flaming dildos.
when they hand him a handgun and he picks it up and he like spins the cylinder in the revolver, locks it with his hand and like looks down the sights, and the guy that gives it to him is like, oh, I see you know what you're doing with that gun. Knocked over a couple 7-Elevens in your day or something. I don't know if anybody remembers the plot of Triple X, but it's basically targeted at 13, 14-year-olds.
Yeah, I saw it forever ago. All I remember is the first scene where he busts into like a Rammstein concert or something.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
And he says something to the guy like as he's looking down the barrel of this ridiculous like Dirty Harry revolver, and he goes, "No, like I broke my leg and had to be like laid up for 8 months, so I got really good at first-person shooter video games," implying that being good at those means you know how to handle a real weapon. So I guess if you've ever seen Triple X, imagine the people that wrote Triple X did all of the writing for Need for Speed Underground.
Can we talk about Triple X 2?
No,
Starring Ice Cube.
no, we cannot do that, and we will not do
Yeah.
that. No, we
Yeah.
won't.
Next
That
time
is
on the
not-
podcast.
No, it's not next time on the podcast. We're never talking about that game. So that's what I've been playing.
I actually have a question about that. So
about-
you mentioned that it is a racing game. So is it
Not
just-
a racist game. It's
No,
just a racing
racing
game. Yeah, huge difference.
Okay, good. But so
Yeah,
I imagine there's multiple forms of racing. Like there's probably drifting, like actual.
There is
racing.
drifting, circuit
touched up
races,
upon that.
sprint racing, which is obviously just point A to point B,
Maybe not all of
circuit,
them.
which is obviously circuit. You have drift racing, you have drag racing, and then you have the URL, which is basically, it's called the Underground
Internet?
Racing League.
Oh.
Yeah, no. And what that is like there's levels per se through each one, so there's like a set number of races and you beat those and then you unlock that region's URL or that area's URL, and then that's just either moto or race cross or drive cross, or there's another
Something
one
cross.
there's another one that is a very very small tight cornered course. And that was actually the other thing that I meant to bring up before I stopped talking about it, was that you can go into like a tuning section, and not just like, I mean, you can put underglow and neon and NOS and all that sort of stuff on your car, which is really cool, but you can also go into the tuning shop and actually tune the real car parts that you installed into your car that are all actual real car parts. They weren't just like, oh, engine upgrade 1, engine upgrade 2. Like they actually, you can go in and break down and buy individual parts for your car, and then you can tune them for each type of race. So for the motocross ones, obviously you don't need a whole lot of top speed because there's a lot of cornering and turning. So you tune it so that your car takes turns really, really, really well, which makes you lose out on your ability to drift, and makes it so that, and you tune it so that your acceleration is really, really high, which means you lose out on top speed. And then for a sprint race, you might do the opposite. A drift, you might do something different, but you can go in and adjust all these sliders, and it's really, really in depth. And I think it's not something that you have to do to play the game, but it's something that for someone that was playing that game maybe as, you know, a little bit older, maybe not 13, 14, or maybe just a 13, 14-year-old that was really, really into cars, it would have been really cool at the time. And it's still cool to me now. So I think that that's a huge, not selling point, because the game came out in 2004. At the time, a selling point.
Go buy it.
Right now, definitely.
Was it on
like,
the back of the cover or the
You
back
probably
of the case?
buy like the newest. What's like the newest iteration of that game? You
Forza?
don't know?
and that's a totally
That's
different
not the
series.
same series.
No,
I
the
was just
newest
kidding.
one is Need for Speed Rivals, and there is a new one announced coming out for the new systems, which actually will probably be
For
pretty
next
cool.
gen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen still images or actually played any next gen racing games, but they
Yeah, I've
look
seen
so
Forza,
good.
it looks really good.
Forza looks real. I've
Yeah.
seen still images from it. And I'm like, is that a picture? It's because there isn't a whole lot they have to do other than like they can spend so much time on the car, because it's not like GTA where there's a car and a helicopter and a building and a person. Like, it's literally the car
It's
and
just
the
like
track.
a race course in like the background.
Exactly,
And it looks
right.
really nice.
Yeah, Forza looks really, really cool, and I'm sure the next Need for Speed will look really, really good too.
Well, the whole
That
thing
was
you're
about
talking about, like the sliders and like preparing for different races, it just reminds me of like you ever played F-Zero X for N64? Actually, I think
have.
we played together one time. Actually, I remember. And yeah, to prepare for different races, you can adjust the slider from like acceleration to speed.
It's really similar to that.
Yeah,
Yeah, a lot more in depth, but
yeah,
pretty
there's a
much
lot
the
more
same
because it's like
mechanic.
based after a real car, but
Right.
it's just like
Wait,
I always thought
F-Zero
F-Zero
isn't real?
I wish it was real. But it's just like it was really integral to the game, which I thought was cool. Like you pretty much had to, and
Right.
they made it like a really good mechanic.
And that's why I think they kind of balanced it out in Need for Speed, because they made it so you can do it, and if you play the game on a harder difficulty, like, you have to do it, which is what
Right.
I'm doing. But looking at it, I mean, as like if you just played on normal and you're just like
you didn't
a
adjust
kid,
anything.
you didn't have to, as long as you didn't intentionally adjust everything the wrong way for the type of race.
Yeah, as long as you didn't like give yourself only like this one thing.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you didn't do that, I mean, you'll be fine and you can still beat the game. But you can go in and do it and really
Yeah, so there's
either
more
crush it
than
on
what's the
normal
surface.
or actually really be able to compete on the harder difficulty, which is cool to me.
Sweet.
So that's what I've been playing. Eventually, I'll play a new game. Eventually, I will. I will
I'm
play
gonna
a
talk about
game.
Need for
Hey.
Speed again next week.
Hey,
so.
Halo 5's coming out soon.
Oh God, yeah.
What'd you
month
say?
away. I said Halo 5's
Halo.
Oh,
coming
Halo
out
5.
soon.
Oh, yeah,
It's a
for
month
sure.
away.
And isn't Fallout coming out soon?
Yeah, in like 2 months.
Yeah, I took the day off of work.
Already?
I might
Oh
too.
hell yeah!
Nice.
I'm so
The
stoked.
problem with that is like a lot of people in my work play Fallout, so like if we all take off the same day, my boss is gonna be like, "What the fuck?"
There's
is
no
going on
problem with
here?"
that, because I can request any video game release date off, because I work at a
normally
bank
do.
and nobody plays video games at a bank. Well, that'd be ridiculous.
I
'cause
normally
you
do.
bank at a bank.
I was
so.
going in for Metal Gear, but like 8 people already got to it before me, so
Wow.
Glad I have an adult job
could not.
full of actual
Unfortunately.
grown-up old people.
I mean, all the people I play or talk about games are like 30, 40 years old.
yeah, no, not to alienate you, but you can be a gamer at any age.
Yeah, you can.
I just mean that a
saying.
lot of people that I work with are just would have no interest in that, so I never
Yeah.
run into that issue. So, moving on, Jaeger, what have you been playing?
Not a whole lot recently, to be
Heretic.
honest.
Slam ball.
Wow.
Whoa.
Slam Ball?
I don't know.
Like on Cartoon Network?
Yeah, you know the
Oh,
trampoline.
yo, that show is sick.
I'm pretty sure I got that on VHS.
What?
Jesus.
Was that even possible? I don't know, but Slam Ball is sick. I've been doing a lot of like watching Let's Plays recently of some newer games I just don't have access to at the moment.
Like Metal
Like
Gear.
I've been watching a lot of Metal Gear. I've been watching a lot of like Until Dawn.
By Let's Play, do you mean just like sitting in Burke's house and watching him play Metal Gear?
No, there's
no,
like
sadly, I've only watched Berg play Metal Gear for like maybe 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But it was cool what I did see.
Yeah, as
And
soon as this podcast is
Berg's been
over,
playing
you
a lot
gotta
of
let me
Metal
see
Gear,
it.
so I'll let him talk about it because I could talk about it because I've been watching people play through it.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I figured.
Get your popcorn and go to the bathroom now, kids.
Yeah, and I could talk a lot about Until Dawn because I think it's cool, but I haven't actually played it, so I don't want to give like a bad impression to it. So I think like a week or two ago, I bought One Piece Pirate Warriors, the original one for PlayStation 3, because One Piece Pirate Warriors 3 came out, and I wanted to see like what all the hubbub was about, because I actually heard those games were pretty good.
Is that a like a Dynasty Warriors?
Yeah, it's
Okay,
a
that's what I
Musou
figured.
type game. It's
Yeah.
kind of like
what
Hyrule
type
Warriors.
game?
Well,
Musou.
that's kind of how it's referred to
Yeah.
in Japanese. It's like
Is that like just the word for it?
It's pretty much go
it just
around and
means
beat
warriors.
the shit out of a bunch of people.
It means warriors.
Yeah.
Like it's,
Thank you for being really specific, and you not so much.
Well, he was just telling me. I don't think.
I
he
mean,
knew what
have
the
you
It's
ever
just to
actual-
go around and beat the shit out of
Have you ever
everybody.
seen a game like that? You
Yeah, I used
literally
to play Dynasty Warriors all the
you
time.
Yeah,
walk
so it's a
around and like
Dynasty
one
Warriors-
swipe will take like 500 enemies off. The
Yeah,
map.
absolutely. You
do a
power
That's a
move.
little bit of an exaggeration,
Sort of.
but like it'll take like a good
I feel like
20
that.
people.
That's more like Hyrule Warriors.
Is it?
Hyrule Warriors is more of what I find impressive about it is like one swing could take out much more enemies than it would in like a Dynasty Warriors or the One
Oh
Piece
really?
Pirate
Dynasty
Warriors.
Warriors still seem like you take out like a huge chunk of people.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of like very stylish Dynasty Warriors. So with the One Piece Pirate Warriors, it's a little different. It's there's not as many people on the screen at one time because I don't think they kind of took a gamble on the game at first. Like they weren't sure if it was going to be incredibly successful because I mean One Piece games usually do pretty good only in Japan, but when they come over here, I mean they took a chance. It was only released digitally. Like there's not as many people, but to compensate for it, it takes like 2 or 3 more hits than it would, let's say, like Hyrule Warriors to kill people.
Right.
And then the only reason I picked it up is because I loved Hyrule Warriors, and I want to get more into warrior type games. So maybe I'll get into Dynasty Warriors eventually. But I love One Piece, and I figured, hey, I don't think I've actually played a good One Piece game, and I didn't know this was going to be good when I went into it, and I'm really enjoying it so far. It all kind of stems from why I like Hyrule Warriors so much too, just because.
Fanboyism.
Yeah, exactly. Like objectively, like
Nail on the head.
No, basically, but like that's
So
why
I like Hyrule Warriors.
Hyrule Warriors.
At least
I
you
feel
can be
If it
like
wasn't Zelda, I probably wouldn't like it, honestly.
yeah, it'd be like I don't know. I want to say like objectively, it'd be like maybe like an 8 or something. But just because I love Zelda so much, it like bumped it up to like a 9 or like a 10. Like I just love it. And the same with One Piece. And there's a lot of cool differences about it. Like the first level of the One Piece Pirate Warriors game, it throws you right into a boss fight. And you do like you wail on him for a little bit, and he calls in his guys, and you kill all the guys, and then like to finish off the bosses, instead of like let's say, Hyrule Warriors, there's not really like a finish him sort of thing. You just have like the 2, the gauges,
Yeah.
and you can do super moves based on that. But since it's like trying to stay close to like the source material of the manga and the anime, it goes into like a cutscene of quick time events to finish off the boss that like accurately depict how they were defeated in the show.
Oh, okay. That's kind of
You know
cool.
what I'm saying?
I like that.
So are the bosses pretty formulaic like they are in Hyrule Warriors, where it's like item, whale, item, whale?
I find this game's much more like I don't want to say it's like difficult, but you have to be. I feel like it's more
You have to
complex.
use more thought
Yeah.
than just item.
Item
Yeah.
whale.
Item.
I don't know. Well, Hyrule Warriors has a lot of things going for it that are cool, like the items and stuff.
Yeah.
But in this one, it's really only you have like your gauge, and then you have 2 or 3 attack buttons and a bunch of different combinations. Not like in Hyrule Warriors where it's like the same 2 buttons over and over.
Yeah.
This one has 3,
Okay.
and then you also have team attacks where like I know you guys are like semi familiar with One Piece at
Like
least.
Sonic Heroes.
No,
Oh,
not
man.
really. No, not really, because that's just switching between 3 people. This one, it's more
just
like
Big the Cat.
like
with
if you're
umbrella.
wailing on a bunch of people, calling Big the Cat, they should make a Sonic Warriors type.
Oh my
game.
god.
That
I was
sounds
just
amazing.
thinking that. A Sonic Warriors
Oh.
game.
Like-
How have they not?
Like
yet?
those egg little egg dudes from Sonic Heroes. You know what I'm talking about? Like those like red, like
Yeah.
pudgy dudes,
Oh,
absolutely.
the
like going through the air fleet.
Oh, your
you would
warriors,
just slay Eggman's minions and all that
your
sort of
minions
stuff.
would just be froggy, like
Oh
a
my
bunch
God.
of
And you could go through and
froggies.
fight like Godzilla, like Metal Sonic from Hyrule or from Sonic
From
Heroes,
Hyrule Wars.
and Chaos Zero or whatever.
Oh.
All the big baddies from Sonic.
And they're wasting their time on mobile gaming. This is genius. I am going to text them right now. And tell
You
them
should,
to
yeah,
make
you
this.
should tweet
them,
at
yeah.
the Sega main page because the guy is hilarious. Their PR guy.
Yeah.
But anyway, bringing it back to One Piece Pirate Warriors.
I'm gonna live tweet right now during the podcast.
All right, awesome. You do that. So about the tag system, this is one thing I thought was pretty cool that kind of separates it from the other Warrior game I played. Is like you can be wailing on people with Luffy, and you primarily only play as Luffy. And what's cool is you go through the different arcs of the series or whatever, and
Right.
basically you'll be wailing on a bunch of guys with Luffy or
I saw
something,
this.
and
It's beautiful.
you can like chime in Zoro or Sanji or something. You can wail on them for like I want to say like 10 seconds, and then at the end of like their timer, basically they finish off with a big super move, and then you switch back to Luffy. So it's seamless. It's completely seamless. Like there's not a cutscene or anything to bring them in. It's just kind of like they jump in, you do their attacks, and then they finish with a big super, and then you jump back to Luffy and continue to wail on people.
Nice.
And so that's pretty cool. Another thing I really liked about the game is that, well, in tandem with the story of One Piece, there is a halfway point where this is kind of spoilers, but
Whoa.
if
Just
you've been
go back
warned,
on
if you don't
here.
want to know about it, just like skip ahead like 5 minutes. I don't know, 10 minutes maybe. I don't know, 5, whatever.
Skip
So
to next
basically-
week's podcast.
Yeah, just don't
Yeah.
listen. So there's a part in the story where they come back. The whole crew goes away for 2 years, and they come back, and they've all done a bunch of training on their own, and they become really strong. So you start out from the halfway point of the story with Luffy, and he's ridiculously strong, and he has all his moves unlocked, and you're just like going to town. You're like, holy crap, this is amazing. And the next part of the game, the next level, is like the very first part of the story. So all your moves are locked away, and you kind of see like how strong you will become eventually in the first level.
That's a really clever
It's pretty cool.
dynamic, because a lot of times games try and do the like, this is you now, and then take all that away through something or other, and then you kind of have to like earn it back, and you're kind of annoyed. But I feel like sometimes it can be done right, and it sounds like that was done.
Yeah. It's
the
not,
right
it was
way.
just cool because it didn't need to be this way. Like if you're trying to make a AAA game that was like based on like a series or whatever, it'd just be really easy. Like I feel like the lazy route would be like, all right, just have them play through the story. Like that's fine. But they intentionally threw this part in where there's like flashbacks, and then you play from the first part of the story up into that point, which they didn't really need to do, but it was cool to see. Some gripes I have with the game, which are pretty minor. I could see why it would bug some people. But it would be things like there's a lot of like interactable things to do on the map, but where I like there is in Hyrule Warriors too, but where I think I like better about Hyrule Warriors is there's always guys around you pretty much doing things.
Right.
When you have to do interactable stuff in the One Piece games, like, all right, now you have to go to whatever, this other part of the map. You gotta like run, there's no more guys, and there's like stuff to do. There's not as much like people to fight. Like I feel like it'd be better if you were just constantly fighting. And it could have been ironed out in Pirate Warriors 2 or 3, I'm not sure, because I haven't played those ones yet.
Right.
But for now, that's one thing that kind of bugs me. And there's like this weird, like, something that kind of bugs me
It
about...
also could have been like a limitation with the system at the time.
It could have been. But there's just all this extra space. And I don't know. I feel like if you had that much, maybe you could render in a couple dudes. But I don't know. 'Cause, one thing that kind of bugs me about Hyrule Warriors as well, that's also in this game, is like there seems to be like a needless like level up system. Like I understand like going to like maybe every other level or something, you get a new move. Like that'd be cool. But there's like this in-depth thing that doesn't really need to be there. You know
Yeah,
what
I mean, I would say a lot of games nowadays kind of
like
do
you
the
collect
leveling
badges
up
and it's like you
thing.
combine them with this and this and you can level up and get a skill. It's like, but I just want to go around and beat up dudes.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of games do that nowadays. That
Yeah.
have that whole leveling up thing, that sense of progression or whatever.
Yeah, but it's pretty arbitrary.
Yeah, and sometimes it does. It's not slapped in, but it feels like they
it's
made
not
the
a huge
game,
problem, it's
and
just
then
kinda
then
nitpick.
kind of added it on top of it. I mean, yeah, it's never really like a
Yeah.
detrimental thing, but I can understand how it seems
Mhm.
extraneous at times
Yeah.
in certain game genres.
Mm-hmm. And I guess one last thing about Pirate Warriors I really like is that the QuickTime events like are good. Kind of like in the way I think that Bayonettas are really good too. You really get a sense that you're just like hammering like it home, you know. So you do one to like dodge, or you do one to you press like X to dodge again, and then you get to the part, as in most One Piece bosses, where you just end up wailing on them, and you just have to mash X. Like you feel good doing it, or you have to spin the stick around or whatever. It doesn't feel like in Batman where you're like mashing to rip off the grate. It's like okay, it's like okay, like it just doesn't feel good. But in the sense that Bayonetta's feels good, where like at the end
it feels like there. It feels like you're doing damage. Like
yeah, it just feels hype. That's all I can say.
Feels hype. Okay.
Yeah, and besides that, yeah, I've just been watching. Over the weekend, I went and hung out with some of my friends at school, and we played a lot of
Metal Gear.
DBZ.
Shit.
Well, I played an hour of Metal Gear.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, I played an hour of Metal Gear, but no, we played like she just had her PlayStation 2 out, and we were playing Tenkaichi
Budokai 3.
No, that's not it.
Just Budokai?
Yeah, Budokai 2 or 3, one of them.
Is it the one where you confuse with Yamcha and Tien?
That was oddly specific.
Not in versus mode. We only played versus mode.
Oh. I don't know.
I
I have Budokai.
No, I know
2
you're talking
somewhere
about, but
around
I
here.
feel like that's something that only happens in like the single player. But obviously, we had a bunch of people
I
over.
could have swore it was a versus, but maybe you're right.
I don't know. I thought that was like kind of like a what if scenario they always throw into those games. You know?
Well, anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was a lot of fun. I really like that game. If you guys ever played it,
I have. Well, I played Budokai 2. I'm not a big fan of the Budokai series, honestly. I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of like two-dimensional fighters in general.
Oh wow. So like a huge genre.
Yeah.
I'm kind of with Burke on this one. Two-dimensional fighters are just not really.
That's why
I don't have an
Smash
issue with
Bros.
them. I guess they're not really my thing. I would say
Yeah,
Smash
same.
Bros is. I would say there's a clear difference between Smash Bros and then
Smash
like a
Bros.
Street Fighter where
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
you know
yeah.
very slow moving.
There's
like
a whole nother
Injustice
thing to account for, like recovering to the stage. And, like,
Right, yeah, all
that
that
shit.
sort
I
of
mean,
stuff.
it's not
There's
as
a lot of
combo
different-
heavy, but
There's a lot of mechanics. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're nothing against them. They're really deep, awesome.
yeah,
like
they are.
there's a
Yeah.
lot to them. They're just really not my game.
I mean, they're
now.
fun to watch. It's just I don't really enjoy.
They're
playing
fun to
them.
watch people who are really good at them.
Yeah, exactly,
I am
yeah,
not
yeah.
really always the
Yeah,
greatest.
see,
at them.
I
can kick some
love-
ass in Mortal Kombat, but that's.
I mean, I
kinda
love
about it.
Budokai Tenkaichi series, but I just never got into Budokai.
Yeah, I actually like the Budokai series better. I don't know. I feel like it's a little more deep with some of its combos, but like overall, it's not an incredibly deep fighter. It's nothing like Street Fighter or Marvel vs. Capcom or Mortal Kombat. But it's still fun just because it's DBZ, and we all love DBZ.
So we mentioned Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah,
Yes.
a couple times.
Speaking of Metal Gear Solid
maybe
5,
quite a few times.
Burke, is there a game that you've been playing?
No, I didn't play anything this week.
Oh, did your computer explode?
Yeah, on to the next week.
Okay.
No, I've been playing Metal Gear Solid 5, and as I mentioned before, I have a lot to say about it.
How is it?
Well, honestly, I think it's really good, but the way...
Everyone knows it's really good.
Of
Yeah.
course, it's really good.
But let's start with some heavy spoilers. Just,
Whoa.
just kidding. I'm just messing.
How long's the game been out?
I would
for?
leave. I'd
like a
leave the
week.
podcast.
Yeah, I would
have
leave.
no
You'd be
idea.
talking to nobody.
So, obviously, it's a third-person stealth game, kind of. And in that sense, I mean, you've played Peace Walker, right, Will?
I have.
It takes a lot from Peace Walker in the sense of the mother base
Yep.
and also
I did know
the
that.
development.
Yeah.
I believe they added. I don't think security was a thing in Peace Walker.
Which kind of goes to show that Metal
They
Gear
pretty much took a lot of
series
like the
has-
concepts from Peace Walker and just expanded upon
did.
them.
Yeah,
like
is really
to
kind of
the
ahead of the curve because Peace
zenith.
Walker was a while ago.
Yeah,
and
it
that's kind of
was.
a trend
And
that's
I feel
popular
like-
in games now.
I also feel like it's one of those games that like not a lot of people that have played the Metal Gear series have played. Well, like diehard fans will play, but most people I talk to,
Yeah, it's not a game
only
that
play
people are
one.
like, oh,
They
Metal Gear
skipped that
Solid
by, yeah.
1, 2, 3, Peace Walker. Like, Peace Walker doesn't always fit into that
Yeah.
conversation right away.
Yeah.
it's
But
like
I would
it's
say-
like it's like Peace Walker Portable Ops.
Well, Portable Ops.
like
Yeah,
the,
Portable Apps.
like
whatever.
the spin-offs. Like
Well, I would consider
people-
Peace Walker main story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah, Portable Ops isn't, or is too, isn't it?
I mean,
Not
they're
really.
all kind of like, no, Portable Ops not
Portable
so
Ops
much.
doesn't really fit into
This
anywhere.
is way too
It
much
does.
about Portable Ops. Continue. with
Yeah,
Metal Gear
okay,
Solid
so
5.
it has like the development thing, so I mean you can kind of stealth in there with like a pistol or whatever,
Mhm.
shoot everyone up, or you can, if you want, you can just take out this huge riot shield and like an SMG and just walk in there and gun everyone down.
That sounds awesome.
And obviously you won't get like you'll get penalized for it, but that kind of goes into how the game plays. So it's an episodic game, which I thought was really strange at first because it's both episodic and open world, which those two don't really go hand in hand in my mind. But basically how it works is it's an open world. You can go pretty much anywhere, and then you get missions. And once you get these missions, you can either choose to helicopter into the area, or they have these little bases set up where Snake just goes over and he plugs in his iDroid in there and it like uploads the mission for him. And that makes the game, it isolates it into a little box of where you can go during the mission. And like I said, you can play the missions however you want, whatever, but it grades you at the end of the mission, and it's based on like headshots, interrogations, how many people you knocked out. You get points taken away for how many people you killed. You get points taken away for being spotted, and then you also are given points for not killing people and not alerting people. You actually get 2 points for that. You get 1 for not killing people, 1 for not alerting people, and then another 1 for not killing and not alerting people. So you get a lot of points for being stealthy or whatever. So that's actually a really cool aspect of the game that I like, because I actually do find that it makes me want to be more stealthy in the sense that I want to get like S rates, and I have before, and it feels really good. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
I mean, I would say Metal Gear Solid 4 definitely kind of blew the door on being able to just be like loud as hell and just go in and murder everybody.
Yeah.
But I felt that it still had the capacity and the reward to do what you were just talking about, which is be super stealthy. You could do that real weird lay on the ground and like
Your
whatever
suit
that
like
was.
morphs into the ground.
Yeah,
or whatever.
absolutely. So I think that that's a, obviously a traditional trope and mechanic of the Metal Gear Solid series, and I would say that it not being a spoiler and it's not a surprise either, but it's good to hear that it's not shied away from.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's still front and center of the game as at its core, which I
Right.
think is good, and I'm happy about that.
So the other thing being an open world game is that there's things called side ops, which are little missions you can do, and you don't get graded for them. And those are actually pretty cool, I guess. Something different to the Metal Gear series. And then on top of regular missions, you have usually like 1 or 2 or 3 main objectives you have to do. And then you also have like 3 or 4 other like optional objectives you can do, and it gets you more money. But unfortunately, the game doesn't tell you when you first do them. You have to go back and do them, and then it tells you what they are. But you can do them the first time around if you just happen to do them. So, like, a lot of the optional objectives for main story quests are if you have to eliminate a commander, one of the side objectives you can usually do is just capture them and bring them back to the base, which is also something they took from Peace Walker, being
Right.
the Fulton system.
The Fulton system.
Yeah, which is actually a lot of fun in my opinion. And it also helps a lot with getting bodies away. Like, I mostly use the Fulton system when I knock someone out and I'm like, oh, someone's gonna see that, I better sneak over there and just air pack them out or whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Put them on FedEx Air and just send them back to Mother Base.
The other thing about that specifically is that guards can tell a lot better when someone's being Fultoned out than from Peace Walker. Where sometimes
I mean, that
they'd
would
be
make
like
sense.
15 feet away and
Just
they'd
hear it and see it, and they'd be like,
and this one, if they're like 40,
what's that guy attached with a parachute? Who cares?
in this one, if they're like 40, 50 meters away, they'll hear you and they'll see him, and then they'll call on the radio and be like, someone just got jetpacked
Someone,
out.
someone just got hucked into the sky on a.
It's actually
on
really
a
funny because they're like,
balloon.
I'll get you down, and then he shoots them and they're like, shit. But yeah, so that's kind of how the game works in general. What I really like about the game is not only the depth of like the development system and that you have all these different things to make or whatever, but on top of that, it also has, I want to say the other Metal Gear that had like these kind of quirky things was Metal Gear Solid 3, where you could do something that the game doesn't expect you to, like you wouldn't expect the game to expect you to do it, but it does, and it's funny. So, like, very early on, you're talking to Ocelot, and he's telling you, like, how to play the game or whatever. And I, like, tranked him in the head, and he's like, you really think one trank's gonna affect me or whatever? And then I shot him again, and he started just, it literally was just his Japanese voice actor talking in Japanese.
I mean, that's a staple of, like, Metal Gear.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
fourth wall breaking.
It's like, when you're looking at the game, and you're like, they're obviously going for, like, realism, like, and, like, a Western realism, even coming from a Japanese, but it's been done by a Japanese, like, developer. Because even though it's, like, really has a, like, heavy realism.
On top of that, there's, like, so there's, like, a boss fight or whatever. I'm not gonna mention, like, what it was, but the boss, like, stands still most of the time. And what you can do is you can call in a supply drop, which are, you radio up your helicopter and they drop in ammo and stuff. And you can drop it on the boss, and if you do, it takes away, like, half of their stamina. Like, straight up.
I was gonna say, when I played, like, the first hour and I first got the mother base,
Yeah.
I'm sure you probably did it too, but there's, like, this sign that says, like, caution, falling boxes or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And if you look
I
at it
did.
and read it, like, long enough, a box will just come down and hit you in the head, and it'll make, like, this boing noise.
I didn't do that.
It was so good.
I did try to, when I was at Mother Base, I did try to drop a box on me to see what happened. Pretty much what I expected. I got bonked in the head.
Yeah, it was great.
But the game, I feel like, in general, is just really funny. Like, the opening of the game, I just lost my mind because they're like, oh yeah, boss, these are your men. Alright, go practice CQC
yeah, go
on
beat them up.
And they're
It's
like,
so funny.
what's up, boss? And he just walks
Yeah.
up and he's like, just
Boss-
knocks him down
Boss
and
hits
Fultons him out.
hard in this game.
He just,
Like, you feel it when you hit someone. Like, he fucking hits them. It's nuts. And
Yeah.
they love it. They
They
absolutely
do.
love it. You'll go up to them and just beat the shit out of them. They're like, thank you, boss.
yeah, it's
Like,
so funny.
thanks for the training, boss. Like, it's so great. I absolutely love it.
It's really funny.
Oh, the actual opening of the game is pretty nuts. Dude.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the first hour of the game, mostly because I was sort of, it's very cinematic. The whole game in general is
It's
extremely
Metal Gear
You
cinematic.
Solid.
know,
I mean-
you know about it, Will? Like, the first, like,
I
waking up in
honestly,
the hospital.
I honestly kind of know a little bit about it, but I've really tried to stay away.
We won't
from
go
hearing
too
anything
much
about
into it, but
'Cause I
you
wanna
know,
play it.
like, what happens. Like, you wake up in the hospital from the coma from Ground Zeroes.
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah, no, I know that literally that's where my knowledge stops.
Okay, I won't go into, like, how insane it is. But
yeah, I mean,
It's
it's really
great.
insane, but like the only issue I have is if I want to go back and play that, I don't want to spend like 10 minutes just like sliding around on the floor.
Well, no, it's a very cinematic game.
Yeah.
I do.
That's just
Okay,
how it
I
goes.
guess
I
maybe
wouldn't-
I lie because I do know that you see Snake's bare ass for a little bit.
Sort. You can. You mostly see.
You
some
can
other
if you
dudes
really want to.
Oh, yeah, you can. I totally forgot. Like, that wasn't
Yeah.
something that stuck out.
Yeah,
But it does now.
his bear sticks out.
It does.
So
Punished Snake. Punished Venom Snake's ass.
yeah. So
Great name.
I guess I think this is the best kind of play style Metal Gear's had. Like with most Metal Gear games, I feel like, especially doing non-lethal missions or non-lethal runs, which I'm doing this time because I hate myself. But I feel like I run out of ammo a lot. And in this one, you get ammo, you just refresh ammo every time you start a new chapter. Or not
Mhm.
chapter, a new
Mission.
episode.
Sure.
Yeah, or you can have them airdrop them in for a certain charge, which is also really nice. But yeah, it also adds this one aspect where you have like binoculars that you can like scope out bases and that like marks enemies. And
Yeah.
it helps a lot because some bases will have like 20, 25 enemies and you can't keep track of them all.
Yeah. It's
So
it's
it,
pretty
like,
much to
marks them all.
compensate like for the radar in the other games.
Honestly, I know Metal Gear Solid you mentioned is like a ridiculous franchise, but the stuff
Oh yeah.
this
It's
I
crazy.
feel like this game's like the most
It's
ridiculous.
super anime. It's great.
Like it's literally it's like the Cobra unit.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like the Cobra unit taken to like another level of ridiculousness.
Soft.
It's
I want to say
Soft.
it's not
Yeah,
too much
they're
of a
ridiculous.
spoiler, but the first time I saw the skulls,
skulls.
like in the first mission, I was like, "This is the '80s, right?"
What is going on?
Snake
It's insane.
Hydroids.
But that sort of brings up a point that I want to mention about the game that kind of bothers me a little. Basically, since it is episodic, the game feels necessary to do an intro to who's in the episode as well as an outro every single time. So I guess the outro doesn't bother me that much because you can just skip it, but the intro sort of bothers me in a way. Well, one, you can't skip it, and two,
I feel like that's because they have to like render in the rest of the world. It's kind of like
they could.
It's kind of like avoiding loading, maybe. To I think.
Well, that
because it helicopters you in every time, and it like.
I guess maybe I'm not qualified to speak on it, but I
only-
honestly think that sounds cool to me personally.
that only
think
happens
it's
if you're in
cool,
the
too.
helicopter, though. If you get the mission on ground, you start running and whatever, and it still tells you like the who's in it, which is kind of what bothers me.
I've never seen that part. I guess.
Yeah, most people helicoptering, but like I said, you can just run around the world and go to the area and start missions that way.
Can we all agree that any flaw in the game is totally okay because you can
Yeah.
set your video or you can set your helicopter song to Flight of the Valkyries as it shows up and picks you up from the end of a mission?
Well, I
Anything
said
can
that's
be
one of the
overlooked
coolest
because
thing
this
ever.
game has the coolest dog in any video.
well,
game.
personally, I set my song to Sonic Heroes.
Oh yeah, that's really funny.
I can't
I've
tell
seen
if you're
some-
kidding or
I've
not.
seen
I'm
some great
100%
videos.
serious. The PC people can put whatever song they want into the folder and then choose that song to play as their helicopter song. So every time I call the helicopter, it's like, we're coming in, Snake. And then like the opening is Sonic Heroes.
I've seen some great videos of people's songs that they do for their intro to the helicopter. I've
It's
seen a lot of
beautiful.
Sonic ones,
Yeah.
and they're pretty great.
Yeah, I
Like the
can
beginning of
imagine
Live
so.
and Learn coming in,
Yeah, that was another one I had in my mind.
and
is Live and Learn.
City Escape.
That was also another one.
Oh yeah,
It was between those three.
It's so great.
But so back to the opening things. I guess it's sort of like a cinematic effect, but it also kind of spoils.
I feel like there's a reason
Who-
for it.
I
I
don't
don't
know
know.
if there
Just
is.
from what I've seen.
But it kind of spoils like what's going on in that episode. Like you said, the first time you saw the skulls, I was like, "Holy shit, this is sweet!" But every single time after, I was like, "Okay, well, I can expect the skulls in this mission. I'm not gonna be that shocked or surprised."
Well, do they brief you like that you have to go fight them though?
No,
'Cause I
they
feel
just
like-
they mention it's like guest starring, and it'll be like Skullface, the skulls, random person,
And then you're like, oh, at some point in this mission, the
skulls
skull
are
and
gonna show
Skullface
up.
are going to show up.
yeah.
And if they show up at like some dramatic moment that's going to be like some sort of twist in the mission, I'm already expecting.
Exactly, yeah. And there is one mission where
And
that
if
pretty much
if it does
ruins-
happen, it is dramatic and it's no longer like totally cool and surprising. And then if it's not at a dramatic moment, it's totally underwhelming. And I
there-
can understand how that would be.
I guess if
the
you don't
overall
know anything
disappointment.
about like when they're gonna show up, to what degree they show up.
But
it
you're
could be.
spending the entire mission in your head thinking, at what point are they going to show up? Because now
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
know
they
they're
could show
gonna
up
be
just
here.
like briefly, and you'd be like, okay, there they are.
Well, there
or
is-
they could show up and do a big thing, be like, I didn't expect this.
Well,
you
there
know?
is one mission pretty early on where it's like, okay, well, I did everything and everything's going well, and the skulls are going to show up any minute.
And then they show up
And
and
then they
like
show up.
screw everything up, and you're like,
it-
wow,
it,
that would have
kind
been
of
a
kills
lot.
like the surprise effect of
No,
it.
I understand that. Yeah.
So
I can get that.
I'm not a huge fan of that. Some other things I don't really like about the game are it's gotten some bugs, I guess. I play the PC version, so this might be different from other versions, but one thing that
Yeah,
happens
That one definitely has the most like bugs.
one
Day
thing that
one.
happens constantly, sometimes Snake will just get stuck running in the same direction no matter where I go. He's like, "No, I want to go this way." I'm like, "Oh, fuck. All right, Snake.
Yeah.
We're going that way." Another thing that's happened once, but it happened in a really inconvenient time, was sometimes. So let me preface this a little. Basically, you have an iDroid that you open up, and it has like your mother base, all the people that are working for you, what the mission is, and like the cassette tapes on there. And you can go into that at any time, but that's done in real time. It's not like a menu where it stops time. So sometimes that'll take a while to open up. And there was a mission where I had to get to this person before they made it to an airport and took off. And I opened it up to call in some supplies, and it took like 2.5 minutes for it to load. And that just boned me, that mission. I wasn't very happy about that, but there are very few things that I don't like about the game. There's a lot of things I like about the game.
There's one thing that bugged me just because you brought up the cassette tapes. I remember when I was playing, I don't know if it's different on the PC, maybe you could like hotkey more things, but I hated how like you had to go into the menu to start the cassette tapes and you just want to like, I wish there was a button to like just stop it outside of the menu. Like I hated having to go back and stop it so I could like pay attention to the game, you know?
So I think the cassette tapes personally are really well implemented in this game, as opposed to there are no codec calls like at all. It's all just done in cassette conversations.
Yeah.
And this sort of plays into like the open world aspect of it, in the sense that you're going to be traveling vast areas all the time. So, I mean, why not just pop in a cassette tape and see what's going on in, like, the story or whatever? And basically how cassette tapes work are they have different titles, and each title will have, like, 4 or 5 things under it. And when you put that cassette tape in, it'll play all 4 or 5 things. And then you have to change to a new cassette tape, which I guess could get annoying, but honestly, it never really bothered me that much.
It just bothered me that there wasn't a button outside of having to go back into the menu through some pages to turn it off.
Yeah, there might be. And on top of that, the PC version, you can configure buttons, but you can't configure everything.
Right.
So if I go up to an enemy and I, like, strangle them and I'm like, I want to tell them to talk, I have to hold the left mouse button, and then I have to push Q, and then I have to push 5. So it's a little bit of a stretch there, unfortunately, but I've gotten used to it, so it's not, like, anything big. But it's very, like, minor things about the game that bother me. Overall, the game's, like, fantastic. And on top of being episodic, it's also done into 2 different chapters, and the differences between the chapters are, like, astounding. Like, the first chapter, the missions in general are just, like, fantastic in the sense that they're all different in their own way. Like, yes, 80% of them will either be you going in to take out someone or you going in to rescue prisoners, but they're all done in, like, very, very different scenarios where something drastically different will happen. Like, in one scenario where I had to rescue prisoners, there were 2 of them, and I could drop into one area close to one prisoner and just rescue him, and then just go over to the other prisoner and rescue him. Or I could drop into a different area. The second prisoner hadn't been captured yet. I can go save him before he got captured and was in tight security, and then afterwards go and save the first prisoner.
Sounds like there's a lot of different options.
There is a lot of different ways you can
which
play.
I think comes with the open worldness,
Exactly.
because it's, if you want to, like, raid some base or go get some objective that's somewhere, you can, like, really scope it out from, like, a 360 kind of way. And I do know that you get, not to spoil too much because I know it doesn't appear immediately, but you get a type of vehicle that you get to use to kind of traverse the terrain.
On top of that, you also have, like, buddies.
I'm talking about just, like, D-Horse.
Yeah.
That's not a spoiler.
That's also
Everyone knows about
it's also
D-Horse.
the game's favorite aspect is throwing diamond in front of everything. So
Real talk, I almost bought, like, a Diamond Dogs, like, sports jacket. Because it looks fucking awesome. Someone
Yeah.
just made one on the internet, and I saw it on Twitter, and I was like, hell yeah.
How much was it?
I don't remember. I want to say it was like $20, $30 maybe.
And why didn't you buy it?
Just because I was at work and just browsing. But I might buy it once I
Yeah.
get the game, and I fall more in love with the game.
it's a really good game. I mean, here I'll just go back and talk about the chapters real quick. But like I said, it's broken up into 2 chapters. The first chapter is very mission based, and I feel like the story is like, whatever. Like, it's not. You go, like, episodes at a time without going back to the main overarching story, and it's mostly just you doing missions to build up your force. And then the second chapter is the complete opposite, where they take missions from the first chapter and just redo them, and they're just like, you can't use your buddy in this mission. It's like, why? Like, why? And to go alongside that, I heard it was because Konami, I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard rumors that Konami kind of rushed Hideo Kojima to put this game out, and so they took, like, they had, like, an additional, like, 15 missions, like, 15 unique missions they were going to put in, and then Konami was just like, no, just copy 15 of the first missions and revamp them a little, so that's a little disappointing, but even though the missions are, like, whatever, the story gets, like, way more intense in the second chapter. And in general, the game's just, like, really long. Like, I've been playing 30, 35 hours, and I still haven't beaten the main story.
That's awesome.
I know, it's ridiculous.
That's so awesome.
It's ridiculous.
I love everything about that.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, I feel like I've already said it twice now, but that just, like, lends to how cool an open world Metal Gear Solid game can be in the different, like,
I know, I was actually shocked about how
avenues
good it
that
is.
they can go
I mean,
down.
I find myself
with
playing
that.
the game, like, 8 to 9 hours at a time.
Yeah, like the first
Without
time that
stop.
you, like, started playing Skyrim, or like the first time,
Exactly,
you know what
yeah.
I mean? Like that kind of depth, which is
Yeah.
really cool.
And so, just to go over, like, a few other things, the buddies are really cool. Some sort of get overshadowed by others. whatever. But for the most part, they are unique and have their own different aspects.
Now, one thing that I was kind of wondering about, and when what's her name, Quiet, was revealed,
Yes.
and her powers were revealed, I was like,
Yeah, it's
that sounds
ridiculous.
extremely overpowered. She's wicked fast, like a super good sniper, and is like can teleport or
Yeah.
like some crazy ass. Like, she sounds like she has some really great powers for being like a buddy, but they sound kind of overpowered. And I guess what I was wondering is, one, is she specifically overpowered? And two, are there cons to some of them, to having some of the buddies, as a not just like cons in comparison to, okay, you have buddy A and he's not as good at doing what buddy B is, but I mean, are there things that just having buddy A is going to make negative for you by itself, I guess is what I'm wondering.
Do you want me to go into like specifics?
Not really, no.
Okay. So like I said, everyone's aspect in their own way. Specifically with Quiet, she does have cons in the sense that like she is only focused on one thing at a time, whereas like other buddies might focus on a lot more things and kind of
Might have the capability to kind of be a little bit
other
more.
thing with Quiet is this goes back to sort of equipment. You can make different equipment for all your different buddies, but Quiet starts off with a lethal sniper, so if you do use her and she kills people, it's counted as you killing someone.
Okay, so that's good to know.
Down the road, like way down the road, you can get a non-lethal sniper for her, but
not right off the bat.
yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. That's kind of cool. I think
Yeah.
that's a nice.
The other thing about Quiet is she also is bugged.
Oh yeah, there's for the PC version specifically, or is it for everything?
It didn't happen to me, so I don't know if it.
No, I mean like the news
I lucked
article.
out.
What is the bug itself?
There's like a
Basically,
bug with
there's
her.
2 missions. If you bring Quiet in, it supposedly corrupts your save file. I did bring Quiet in one of those missions. Thankfully, it did not corrupt my save file. It was a mission that I thought made sense to have Quiet in it, but apparently the game feels otherwise.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's just PC specific. It could be everything. I'm not really sure.
Yeah,
I
it could be
did not
everything.
get nearly far enough to experience it in like the hour or two I played of it.
Yeah, but like I said, the game's fantastic.
Yeah,
The story's ridiculous.
there's so many cool things about it.
The characters are ridiculous. Everything's just
I mean,
ridiculous,
the-
and it's so much
The
fun.
fucking dog.
My favorite, I
DD
think,
is the best.
I think my favorite.
That is the thing I'm most excited about.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'll be able
I
to play it in like
cannot
about
wait.
2
Definitely a
weeks.
Sounds
contender
awesome.
for Game of the Year, even though
Game of the
Konami said that it was
generation.
definitely going to be Game of the Year.
Konami's like, yeah,
See,
boy,
they knew.
Game of the Year in September. Let's
Game of
go.
the Year, game-breaking book.
There's a lot of great games that came out this year.
But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up. I know I talked a lot about Metal Gear, but
Metal Gear is sweet though,
It is.
so it's fine.
yeah. So yeah, join us after the break where we will be talking about the idea behind esports and just watching people play games in general for entertainment. There's no trivia this week. Only Snake Eater.
What a thrill, with darkness and silence through the night. What a thrill, I'm searching and I'll melt into you. What a fear in my heart, but you're so supreme. I give my life, not for honor, but for you. In my time, there'll be no one else. Crime, it's the way I fly to you. I'm still in a dream, snake eater. Someday you go through the rain, and someday you'll feed on a tree frog. It's ordeal, the trial to survive for the time, there'll be no one else. Crime, it's the way I'd like to you. I'm still in a dream, snake eater. I'm still in a dream, snake eater.
You're welcome.
Welcome back to the podcast, everybody.
Yeah, welcome back to the podcast. So, in our second segment of the day, we'll be talking about esports and watching people on YouTube or whatever you go to watch them play video games.
Whatever you kids are doing these days.
Yeah, you know. So this was sort of inspired by something that happened recently on the Jimmy Kimmel Show. Yes. Okay. And basically what happened was he came out and he was like, I don't understand why people would watch video games, like go out and play them or whatever you kids are doing nowadays. I don't know the specifics, but I believe he had 2 YouTubers come onto the show.
Yeah, well, basically, he was like, I don't just, he did like a skit about guys or people watching other people play video games because of the emergence of YouTube gaming, which was basically YouTube's answer to Twitch TV.
They need to answer a little
But
bit
when
better.
YouTube does it, that means people start paying attention.
Well, it was just, it was
Well,
just like
'cause
a new thing.
Believe it or not, a lot of people don't know about Twitch. Most people I talk to, I mention Twitch, and they're like, what?
Yeah, no.
You know, it's like where you go to watch. I literally describe it as YouTube, but live.
Live YouTube. It's like YouTube, but live
Yeah,
TV.
basically. And so a lot of gamers on the internet took offense to this and lashed out. And Jimmy Kimmel, kind of as a way to profit off of the backlash, he invited Markiplier and I do not remember her name. Another famous YouTuber or Let's Player. It might be Miss May, but I don't remember because I've never actually heard of her before until she got called onto the show. And they sat down with him and they played Rocket League and recorded it. And that's pretty much what happened. It was kind of funny to watch them. I mean, Jimmy Kimmel's, he's a funny guy. Markiplier was pretty funny. I don't really know anything about
I
her.
don't know.
But he
The name sounds familiar.
made like them watch her parents use the Oculus Rift to like ride a roller coaster simulation, and it really wasn't that funny. But Jimmy Kimmel playing Rocket League was pretty funny because he was really terrible. But yeah, that's basically the incident.
Yeah, and then there's like some backlash from the gaming community, and he ended up getting like a few death threats. Nothing. Too
Yeah, it
major.
was about as immature as you think it would be.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think that is never the way that we should ever respond. And I think that,
There should
you
be
said
more death threats. I'm just kidding. No death threats.
never a death threat. I think that the way that when you said that Twitch isn't something that's widely known, I think every once in a while, and by every once in a while, I mean all the time, the internet forgets that the internet is like its own community.
Yeah.
And specifically inside of the internet community is the video gaming community. And it seems to be rather frequent that gamers forget that, like, no matter how big video games get and how large the industry has become in such a short period of time, it's still kind of like a niche market, and it's not something that people know about in depth other than like, oh, that's an Xbox, that's a PlayStation, and that's okay, and that's not really always a huge problem. And I think that one of the issues is that when Jimmy Kimmel, who probably doesn't play a lot of video games, is like, why do people watch video games? I don't understand. That seems so silly. And as an abstract concept, as an outsider, I would agree. Maybe watching video games seems a little boring or a little weird if you don't like video games and if you're not interested in them, which is totally fine. And I think that reacting and being like, oh, well, blah, 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 like, let's do death threats, like, that's just dumb. That's just, like, childish and so counterproductive to the entire community.
So, just in general, this has been a question I've gotten many times over the years. I think why it was such a big reason was because it was just something that was brought to light and everyone just started talking about it, and then they went and asked people that they knew played video games. They're like, oh, why do you do this? And people like, God damn it. I'd have to explain myself.
Right, I don't need justification for it. You don't need justification to do it. You don't need justification to watch it. Like, if it's what you're into, it's what you're into.
It's just a lack of understanding from an older generation. That's pretty much what
Exactly.
it is. They didn't grow up with it, so they don't get it.
And honestly, that's like
Well,
not
it's
even
not
that,
even like an older generation. It's like people nowadays too.
that just don't play video games, and
Really?
that's
Yeah.
fine. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
I don't understand why people watch HGTV. I don't get why people watch House Hunters, but I don't like go to them and like give them shit about not like about watching House Hunters or
Right.
being interested in like, you know, home decor stuff. Like, here's a great example. I love the Food Network, and there's a lot of people out there that love the Food Network and are really interested in it. And I'm interested in it beyond just like looking at really good looking food, because I like to cook. So I look at, you know, all that. I find things on the Food Network from cooking shows and specials and the games that they have, like Chopped, all that sort of stuff. And I like find like inspiration and stuff in there. So that's cool to me. But I can understand why somebody who like isn't really into that sort of stuff might not be like, oh yeah, the Food Network's awesome. The same way that I feel about HGTV.
Right.
The same way that Jimmy Kimmel feels about Twitch. Like,
Yeah.
everybody's got their own interests, and like, that's okay.
So
I'd say it's like slightly different. I mean, I like your example. It's a good example, but you know, food's a
Although
little
what
more
I-
accessible
maybe
than
maybe
video
I should
games.
yeah, I mean maybe I should clarify here. I'm not saying that I'm explicitly not saying that Jimmy Kimmel calling people out on their interests because he's not interested in it is okay. I'm saying that everybody can have their own interests, and just the opposite, in fact, is that you can have your own interests and you should be spending time doing those instead of calling anybody out about what they're into.
right. So a reason why I feel like why watching games in general is so popular is because not only are they $60 and it's hard to get resources to certain games. Like, you might not have the system, or might not have the money to play it, or whatever it may be. So the resources can be a big thing. Also, you might not be very good at the game in general, and that could kind of make you not want to play it. And in those two aspects, watching games pretty much reminds me of watching sports. Because why do people watch sports?
That's a really good example.
They don't have the resources, being a number of like people to play the game at the time. They aren't as good as the people on TV. So like,
Well, this is
It's
this
a little bit of a. I don't know.
I-
People watch it for pure entertainment too. Like, I like watching soccer, but I don't want to.
true,
play
but
soccer.
in the aspect of esports, like, I watch people play League
No,
of
yeah,
Legends
I'm
because
not
they're
saying
really
that
good.
it's not valid. I'm just saying I think it's two different things. Like, there's
it's
more. To
I would
it.
say that there is a lot of parallels there. I mean, you watch League of Legends and you play League of Legends.
Yeah,
I've been watching the Halo Championship Series, and I play
Exactly.
Halo.
yeah.
And I'm not nearly as good as those guys, but like I like to think that I'm good enough that like I can watch them play and draw from like what they're doing
Exactly.
and get enjoyment out of it. The same way that like I'm not as good as Bobby Flay in the kitchen, but like I can watch his cooking show and then go cook and like, you know, draw inspiration from that.
Another thing I feel like, especially with that esports sort of analogy, that makes it so interesting is that, I mean, I play League, you play Halo, so we know what to expect, and that makes it more interesting because we can be like, oh, he's gonna do this, oh, he didn't do that, why? And then the announcer explains, and you're like, oh,
Right.
cool.
And that's where the
Yeah.
disconnect is when Jimmy Kimmel watches somebody play a video game that he either has never played before or only heard of or something. He's not going to get any enjoyment out of it. The same, I mean, I would be able to get a little bit more because I know more about video games, but the same way that if I sat down and watched a League of Legends game, I don't know squat about League of Legends, and I wouldn't
Right.
be able to understand the meta and get like why a guy did this, or like I wouldn't be able to learn anything from watching a professional game of League of Legends, where watching pro Halo players play, I'm good enough that I can actually do the things that they do and build on those techniques the same way that you could with League of Legends, whereas somebody who has no experience with it is going to be like, this is so boring, why am I watching this?
Yeah, and then also going with esports, another thing I see is more of a trend is like games that are easier to grasp. So like League of Legends is a pretty easy MOBA to grasp compared to other MOBAs. CS:GO is a pretty easy FPS to grasp. Same with like most FPSs. Hearthstone. So these, I feel like, I personally, I don't really play Hearthstone and I don't play CSGO, but I'm more than willing to sit down and watch someone play it because I can understand what's going on because it's so upfront and there's like not a lot of.
Yeah, that's why I enjoy watching a lot of fighting games. Like,
Yeah.
I love
And this
watching.
goes back to what we were saying
Yeah.
about the fighting games
Yeah.
earlier.
I know
do.
I know the basics. I know what every button does, but when seeing a pro like utilize it and
Yeah.
like you can learn from it, I think it's really cool.
Yeah,
Right.
and I do also watch a lot of Smash Bros.
Yeah, I
tournaments and
watch a lot
stuff.
of,
Right.
Smash too.
And similar to football, not in the way that, I mean, for me, I'm not going to like learn from watching like
Yeah.
NFL
Like,
players
oh,
play.
I see what
like,
they're doing there. I
oh,
should
I
get
know what
really
they're doing.
jacked and
Yeah,
just
I
like
should get super.
I should have been
ripped up.
born better, like built.
Yeah, but I do.
That's what I did wrong.
I can say that it's similar in the way that I can watch football, and I know that you guys aren't big football fans,
No.
so you guys might not like know all the
I
little.
like
tiny
watching football, but I
things
just
and-
don't know that much about
Right,
it.
exactly. So like you guys can watch it and still get some enjoyment out of it, and I can too, but I've been watching football since I was little, and I
Yeah.
know I know football inside and out, and I think that another aspect of sports in general, which is why esports is on the rise, is I've got a favorite football team.
Yeah.
And I like that team, and I know the players on that team, and I know how they play, but on top of that, I also look at the NFL as a whole, and I know every team, and I could probably name you every quarterback on every single NFL team right now.
Right.
And I think that having that level of interest in something is obviously going to having that level of commitment to it and that level of interest is going to make watching it super interesting, which is why esports for video gamers totally makes sense. And again, I know earlier we said that we don't need to defend it. It doesn't need justification, but that's what it is. Like, it's what we do. It's what we play. It's what we enjoy. So obviously watching other people do it, especially people who are wicked freaking good
Yeah.
at it, is really cool to us.
Yeah, it really is.
I think the most interesting thing about this whole topic is just the friction of just a complete lack of understanding. Not even Jimmy Kimmel, because I think what he did was totally fine. That was just, it got a lot of people salty because people don't have a sense of humor. Like, it's fine. But
Yeah, I
do
mean,
you remember
when
a
it
while
boils
ago-
down, he's a comedian.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's fine. But do you remember like a while ago where that ESPN
Yeah, played
that anchor like came out and
Oh,
said something
no.
about how like if ESPN ever started covering esports that he would quit or something
well,
like
they
that.
did end up covering esports.
Yeah, and I do know who you're talking about,
Yeah.
but I'm kind of blanking
I
on
just
the name right
yeah,
now.
me too, but I just found that incredibly interesting that just there's just a lot of animosity from that and I don't really understand why. Well, I do understand why, but
It's
I just
because
think it's
people look at
interesting.
sports like football and baseball and soccer, which I all really like and enjoy watching. And I think that sometimes people take those and go, oh, those are real sports, whereas cheerleading and video games aren't real sports. Well, who the hell are you to say? Like,
Yeah.
it's a competition. I think that just because football's been around for a really long time and has been watched forever, although that gives it a huge fan base, doesn't give it more ground to stand on as a valid sport. Like, it's a competition. I mean, and I can say this as a fan of esports and of physical sports like Major League sports. As a huge fan of both of them, I feel like I can say they're games.
Right.
They're silly games with balls and end zones and nets and computers. Like, I mean, they're not silly in the way that they're not like there's no point to them or that they don't have value, but like it's a game.
Right.
So how can you put one game on a pedestal or a bunch of games on a pedestal, but take another game, regardless of what those games are, and say, oh yeah, well, these games are important to me, which means that ESPN should cover these, but esports, who gives a shit about that? We shouldn't cover that just because the fan base isn't there. And it is rapidly growing with the expansion of the video game industry. You know,
Well, like you said, it is just in general just a niche market, even though it doesn't seem like it.
it's just
it doesn't seem like it to us because we're so involved.
Well,
in
if
it.
if you watch a league tournament, they'll get like 200 or not 200, sorry, 2 million views, like 2 million people at once watching the game.
Right. I mean, the
isn't-
the Halo Championship Series has blown away Twitch records for first-person shooters like since its inception last year.
Yeah.
It's just, it has a lot to do with the way that just video games as a medium is growing at a very, very rapid pace.
Yeah.
That I feel like a lot of these old school thinkers just can't really cope with it because it's been the same way for forever, for like a long time. Like, like, oh yeah, we cover football, soccer, whatever, but they just can't handle the concept of something
Yeah.
like this.
Like we said
Because
before,
in the
they
'90s
just-
it was completely different.
Yeah, they just don't understand pretty much like what's going on with esports.
I just
It
think
was
it's
Colin
interesting.
Cowherd,
Yeah,
who I also actually just really don't like as a sports reporter as well. That was the
He
ESPN
seems pretty
journalist
ignorant, yeah.
who, he said that he would quit his job if he ever had to cover esports. And Colin Cowherd, as like I said, as a sports fan, is a loudmouth idiot that probably, and this might even be worse, probably didn't actually mean it and was just saying it to be inflammatory because that's the kind of reporter that he is.
So
Sure.
to go back between sort of a comparison between sports and esports, specifically League of Legends, you see more trends develop in League of Legends like they do in regular sports. Like nowadays you have the Riot Games, who's the people that made League of Legends. They do like a little spin-off series where they talk about Fantasy League, which is a thing. They'll go into like who you should pick, who you shouldn't pick, who should be played that week. On top of that, this was really funny. I was watching esports with my girlfriend over the past week or whatever, and she thought I was watching regular sports because the way that the announcers talk and stuff is identical to regular sports. Like they'll just like minorly mention some stuff and whatever, and then like something big will happen. They'll be like, "Ah!" and they'll like yell and stuff.
It's along the same line.
The difference between the two is I feel like esports sort of takes that like ridiculous to the next level, especially like I know you've said it a couple times.
It's a different age group, basically.
I know you've said it a couple times when I'm watching Smash Bros, but the announcers sometimes aren't like the most professional in how they talk, and they'll just like go off about something. I think it's hysterical. Like I don't know if you guys have ever.
It's very like within the community, which is cool.
Have you guys seen the Wombo Combo video for Smash Bros?
No, but I could show you a bunch of hilarious Marvel vs. Capcom 3 announcer videos.
Yeah. Like people,
It's great.
they just go off.
It's great.
and
yeah,
it's
people
really
get hyped.
it's really funny
awesome.
to watch. Oh, or there's the Mega Man Final Smash reveal at
Yeah.
that was so the person who's like
the super funny robot.
yeah, the super fun, the Final Smash, and he was just like Mega Man, Mega Man, he's just
Yeah, so
screaming it.
Dude, I was screaming with him. I was hyped too.
And I think that demonstrates
I
two
love
things. One, that, like you said, it's still a niche market, and there's, not that extremely refined years of commentating that you see on like when they're covering the Masters or covering the Super Bowl or something like that, where there's still excitement because it's sports. Yeah, there is a different etiquette for it, and I think that shows that it's not quite as refined yet, and it is very inter-community. But it also demonstrates that there's a huge amount of passion for it, that people like get hyped when someone
Yeah.
does something in a video game, and like it doesn't need any sort of like justification. There's no but. Like it's cool,
Right.
and that's it.
And even nowadays, they hold like esports tournaments in like stadiums and stuff with a giant screen to watch a bunch.
How
of
much
people
was the
live.
prize pool of Dota? We talked about it a couple podcasts ago.
10
Oh,
million.
just $10 million,
Yeah.
the international this
yeah,
year.
exactly. It's
The guy
insane.
that won the guy that won the first series of the Halo Championship series of the of like the 1v1s won $250,000. I mean,
Right.
it's not something you can make a living on it now if you're the best of the best. And I think that I have heard people say that about esports. They say, oh, well, you have to be, the only way that you're ever going to make a living is if you're winning, on those top teams, or you're doing that. That's the only way that's ever going to happen. You can't live as a gamer. Well, I mean, the same can be said about the NFL. Maybe the numbers are a little different because there's maybe more people in the NFL that, in comparison to the amount of people that wanted to be in the NFL, maybe the paychecks are definitely different. There's a huge difference in those.
Yeah.
But
Oh, yeah.
in the same way that, like, you look at the percentage of kids that, like, play football and dedicate their lives to football and play college sports, and, and that's all great and fine, and if that's your passion, that's cool. But, they try and get to the NFL and they don't make it. I mean, the same can be said about gaming. The same can be said about any competitive sport. The only way that you're really going to make it is if you're making it.
Yeah.
You're winning.
But no, the thing that goes along with that I think is easier for gamers is that it's just easier to get into it because you have ad revenue from YouTube, you have ad revenue from Twitch, you have Twitch subscriptions. You have-
It's just like anything. Like if you really love football and you have like a YouTube channel about football, you could do it that way. too.
Exactly, yeah.
It's just like
It's more
It's-
popular, I think, in the gaming community to be into gaming and talking about that because there are a lot of people on the internet that love sports. I would
Yeah.
consider myself a person on the internet that also loves sports, but I don't think that crowd is quite as big, you know.
Right, but kind of what you were saying is
it's
that
definitely there.
if
though.
you want to strive for the NFL and you don't make it, well, you're screwed. Whereas, like, if you do the same with, like, on Twitch or something, you can still gain, like, a huge view.
Right, you don't have to be winning the proverbial Super Bowl of video
Yeah.
gaming. You can be making money from your advertisements and from your
Subscriptions,
sponsors and
yeah.
your subscriptions
Yeah.
and all that sort of stuff. And for football, that is that, you know, we're using football as just the general, you know, traditional American sport example. It is a little bit harder to like make revenue off of football if you're not a team owner or a player or
Yeah.
somebody
I
actually
would
involved
say
there.
it's pretty much just like anything else. I mean, people who love football go off and become like sports journalists or something. They could still make it that way. Like, but YouTube just happens to be, and I don't think it's an understatement to say, video game stomping ground. Like, it is above and beyond the most popular topic.
Well,
on
I mean,
YouTube.
I shudder saying his name and wouldn't
Yeah.
want to give him a shout out. It's not like he needs it.
Oh, God, no,
But-
don't do it.
I mean, who's the
Don't
number
do it.
one guy on?
Don't. No. I'm not doing it along. Like, you could say PewDiePie. It's fine.
Yeah.
Let's not give any like anima. Like, I don't personally watch his channel, but I have nothing against him.
Right, not him specifically, but that's what I'm saying. I mean, he's the most subscribed to guy on YouTube, and
That's
what does he
true.
do?
Video games.
Like,
There's-
isn't like the top 3 or 5 all video games. On
The
YouTube?
it's like the top 6 out
There's
of the top
one
10 are
that
video
is,
game channels
There's
or
like
video
one that
gamers.
is-
Yeah, well, whatever. It's
Forget
still,
what
I
it
think
is.
the point has been made.
Yeah.
But what I'm just trying to say is like, professional gamers, it is a way you can live. I mean,
Yeah,
they have
absolutely.
they have houses where they have like sick internets and they can just play whatever. And like I mentioned this before, I don't remember if I kept it in or cut it in one of our past podcasts. But Bjergsen, the mid laner for TSM, he makes $100,000 a year on just Twitch subscriptions.
10,
Sorry, $100,000.
100,000.
$100,000 a
Say
year.
I was confused
Sick.
by
My
$10,
bad.
$100,000. I
No.
was like, man.
I said 10 and then I meant 100. Just $100,000 on just YouTube subscriptions, and that's pretty like a sick-
$100,000 on YouTube subscriptions, and that's not counting sponsorships, tournaments that he goes to, appearances at all sorts of fests, lessons that he gives.
Did I say YouTube? I meant Twitch.
I knew it.
subscriptions.
Yeah,
Okay,
Twitch
my
is.
bad.
I knew what you meant, but
Yeah.
views from his YouTube stuff. I mean,
Prize money. He wins at tournaments.
prize money. Yeah, I mean, like
That's insane.
there is a lot of money to be made, and it's an industry that is
Right.
growing.
Yeah, video games is such a growing industry. It's like multi-billion.
So, do any of you have anything you want to mention about esports? Because I was going to transition over to the entertainment side of video games.
I think esports are great.
I was just going to say one last thing. I mean, esports is just fun if you're not doing anything. I mean, sometimes if I'm playing Monster Hunter, I'll sit down and put esports on in the background.
Yeah, you can watch it kind of casually, or like
Or if you're like working out or something, you can just put it on and it keeps your mind focused on something, so you're not like, oh god, why am I doing this to myself?
yeah. And I mean, I I kind of try and keep track of like at least the games that I'm interested in, like the games that I like play a lot of, like the Halo Championship Series, for example. I watched like almost every like big, or at least like the end of it, because obviously they put it on Twitter and all that sort of stuff. I watched like the semifinals and the finals of almost every event this year,
Right.
and it was awesome.
Yeah.
And it was really cool to like get to know the teams and get to know the players and all these guys, in a way that's similar to like the way that I know my favorite football team.
right.
Yeah.
They are not. There are parallels, but I would say that they are the esports equivalent, of these guys, which I think is
Exactly.
really really
Absolutely.
cool.
And you like you said before, you kind of grow attached to some of the players and
Absolutely.
follow them and stuff.
Absolutely.
And even after they retire, sometimes you'll watch them. I mean, I watch some people that retired from League still because,
Right.
like, I'm gonna segue into here. They're just funny people in general.
I've been watching Snipe Down since he was playing like Halo Reach.
So aside from esports and Twitch, there's also the other side being YouTube and just entertainment, let's plays, podcasts, which we're doing.
What's a podcast?
I have no idea.
Maybe.
But they're just things that people watch because they might like the person. They don't have access to the game. They don't know if they want to buy the game.
Or a healthy mix of all of those things.
Exactly. It could be
Yeah.
everything. I mean, the thing that I especially like about YouTube and to a little extent Twitch is that these people are willing to play like a broad variety of things. So you could see something that you want to watch that one of your favorite YouTubers might play, and you're like, oh, okay, I'll watch that. I like that game. And on the opposite side, you can see something you know nothing about, and you'd be like, oh, well, I like this person. Let's see what he has to say about it.
Right, like I've seen I think my favorite guy on YouTube is Pro Jared, and he's played games that I like. He's played games I've never heard of. He's played crazy Asian games. He's played bad games. Like he has a really, really solid set of just like
Everything.
games, yeah, which is awesome. And I think I think that diversity is really cool because he kind of picks stuff and reviews them and plays them. And then, every week or 2 weeks or however often he releases a video, you watch it and you're just like, holy crap. Like, I did not expect you to pull, that like weird. You remember the episode that he did with Peanut Butter Gamer that was like that weird Japanese shoot 'em up game?
Oh,
It was like the raccoon.
Rocky and Pocky.
Yeah, Rocky
Or
and Pocky.
Rocky.
See,
And then he
Sorry.
follows it up with like Alone in the Dark.
Yeah.
He did Chrono Trigger
That
the
game's
other day.
awesome.
Like,
That's like an aspect that people also watch is just like fun comedy in video games.
yeah. And I think there's a huge difference between JonTron and Pro Jared.
Yeah.
Pro Jared's a lot more serious, and if that's like something that you're into, I mean, he's still funny and does like funny things, but JonTron does all sorts of skits and all sorts of little bits and like doesn't really always like actually review a game or even give you like a really good idea of
Yeah.
what the game is. He might just like edit and take like the really funny parts, distill the weird parts or the funny parts or something, whereas Pro Jared is much more of a traditional type
Yeah.
of review. And I watch both of them, and it just depends on what you're in the mood for.
Pretty much, yeah. And especially with like Pro Jared, he has those minute reviews, which also helps with
1
whether
minute
you
reviews
should-
are really cool.
which
Yeah.
helps with whether you should buy a game or not. Which
Yeah. That
1
Pro
minute
Jared-
review. Ready?
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah, some of those are really great. I
Yeah.
just want to say, like, without Pro Jared, like, just like following all these different YouTube personalities kind of like opens up, at least for me, my like perspectives of different games. Like, without Pro Jared, I don't think I ever would have known what Monster Hunter was.
really,
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
me neither.
And without Pro Jared and like Burke, I probably would have never even started playing Monster
I
Hunter.
fucking love Monster Hunter.
I mean, I
And-
still haven't started playing it. I intend
And
to. at
Pat
least.
from Best Friends.
Uh-huh.
Which I want to like those guys are probably my favorite YouTubers to watch. The Best Friends, like they're unique from other ones just because they have 4 people and they all have different tastes, but they all have similar tastes at the same time.
Right.
And that's another
Kind of like
thing.
us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And that's another thing about YouTube that I really like is just it's so diverse in what you could look for. Like I know personally you like Let's Plays, right?
specifically the ones I only really find the most entertaining are when the Best Friends play. I tried watching like I don't know, like I like Pro Jared a lot, but I'm not really too into his Let's Play channel or PBGs at all. Or
PBG's a little bit too weird for me sometimes,
I like him.
and that's the thing is that you like him, and I.
Yeah.
But like
not
I
so
was gonna
much,
say-
and that's what's cool.
I could go on forever why I like the Best Friends like Let's Plays. Like all of them were like game testers, so they know a lot about the ins and outs of gaming, and it's like interesting. Like I feel like I learn a lot, but I'm also having like a good time because they
Yeah.
seem like people I want to hang out with.
But like I was saying,
And they're
I
Canadian.
personally don't like Let's Plays at all. I just don't enjoy watching someone play a game, and most of the time they'll talk about something besides the game.
All right, Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
me.
Well, that's kind of
Yeah, the
like
whole time.
what I don't know.
But on the same side of that, I really enjoy watching stuff like Game Theory and Game
I
Explain,
love Game
where they
Theory.
go into the really in depths of like a game and like all that
Matt
stuff.
Pat is my guy.
I know.
I love that show.
Yeah, and it's
See, that's interesting because I don't really like him that much.
really I fucking love Matt Pat.
Matt Pat
Like,
is a smart dude.
his-
for sure.
Oh yeah, I don't deny that. He's
I
smart.
wouldn't. I don't think I would enjoy him if like I sometimes I don't really enjoy his comedy, but just
yeah, that's
what
what
he
that's
does.
what breaks it for me.
Just see, that's the thing. You might get like you might sort of look for like comedic stuff, whereas like I sort of look. For,
Matt
like,
Pat is. I think
The
he's
thought-
funny.
I think the
provoking
theory
stuff.
is cool and it's like thought provoking to an extent. Certain ones, But yeah, his
Yeah.
personality just kind of breaks it for me a little bit.
I see. I like it. I mean, I do understand that his comedy is very what's called like wah wah
Yeah,
kind of
exactly,
comedy,
yeah.
but I think it's funny and it works. And he doesn't like.
I do like when he keeps in bloopers into his videos. Where
He
he's like,
does,
he says
yeah.
something and he's like, "What am I doing?"
I love how self-deprecating he
Yeah,
is too. He's always
exactly.
poking fun at himself and
Yeah.
stuff. I would say that Pro Jared or Matt Pat are probably my two favorites.
Yeah.
hands down.
Yeah, exactly. That makes sense. And so I also find like obviously the comedy side of YouTube funny.
There's a lot out there.
There is, and that's
Get out there.
that's another thing that might make it even a little bit more niche is that we aren't all. I'm gonna say two things that kind of contradict each other, but since we don't all enjoy the same thing, we might not all band together. Like, what did he say? Was it specifically just against games in general?
Who?
Jimmy Kimmel.
I didn't actually watch the skit.
I
All I
don't
know is that he made a skit and people got really upset about it when they most likely shouldn't have.
So,
yeah,
like,
no, they definitely should. I saw it, and
cut
it.
deep, like
Jimmy Kimmel did not say video games are dumb, and I saw a lot of people reacting as if Jimmy Kimmel said video games are dumb, which just wasn't the case.
Right.
He was making mostly a joke and a little bit of a commentary about watching video games, and I can understand from a perspective like a person who doesn't like video games that like it probably seems a little silly,
Right.
And
But like I was gonna say, it's split in the terms of viewers. In which case, like you said, you might watch Let's Plays. I might watch, like Game Theory.
I think I don't know, specifically for
Someone
these
else might watch
cases that we
esports.
brought up with the YouTubers, it aligns with how you align with their personalities a little bit.
To an extent.
I would say so. No, I mean, I like Pro Jared because I think his humor is kind of dry and sarcastic sometimes.
Yeah.
and I think that that's like something that I find funny because that's how I am. So I think that his,
exactly.
I
Right.
think that's why I like it more, and why maybe I don't like BBG as much because he's like a little weird sometimes and a
Little
little
off the
like
walls.
a little off the wall, and I don't find that quite as funny.
Yeah, but on the same thing, like I watch Game Explain, and while I don't really enjoy their personalities, I think what they do
Yeah,
is really
see, that's
interesting.
another thing. I don't. Yeah, that's a great example because I find them way too dry to.
Yeah,
find
me too. But I
enjoyable.
still like watching it because I like hearing the things they have to say about it. I just like discussions in general about video games. But like,
Obviously,
like I was saying, we can get split sometimes because we all consider ourselves gamers, but we all might watch different things. So if
Yeah.
someone said
It's
something
like
about
if you
esports,
like anything, you have different tastes.
yeah. So if someone said something about esports, people that watch like John might not go to their side to defend them. But on the same side, it seems like people that are actually like creators in the video game series are like very willing to defend each other. So I see people, and this has to do with it's all over the internet, and they're all kind of conjoined or whatever. But I see people. Last night, I thought it was really funny because I saw some people tweet at each other. One of the head of Riot Games tweeted at one of the main announcers from Smash Bros, and I was like, "How? What is going on here?" And it's just interesting to see that.
yeah, you kind of forget that. I
community's
mean, there
so
are these
joined.
big names and all these verified Twitter accounts, and you see it on the news and all this sort of stuff. But you kind of forget that, like, the community as a whole is pretty small, and like these, like everybody kind of knows each
They're
other.
pretty decently
to an
small,
extent.
and because it's over the internet, they're all connected to each other. So, like,
Which is why the rise of esports and streaming and entertainment channels and all that sort of stuff have taken off because it exists. The technology's there to make it
Right.
happen. Which
Yeah, it's like even if you like different stuff, we all identify as gamers. So when me and Will don't play League of Legends, but like if someone attacked like the thought of esports being a thing, like we would band together and be on the side of yes, it should because we all consider ourselves gamers.
see, the thing is, I don't know if like most regular people, like I feel like people that would watch PewDiePie
I would say
probably would be like
as a
whatever.
whole, you know.
Yeah, I personally feel like people that are participating in those things,
Well, sure, because they're like the
directly,
quote unquote
they understand what
leaders,
everyone else is going through. So like,
They're the role models.
I've
Right.
seen people from the Smash community defend people from like the Street Fighter community.
Right, and
Yeah.
that's kind of, the same way that I think that, we all have different opinions and we all argue with each other and there's always different, views on different things. But when somebody who's not part of the community, and not in an exclusive, you can't be in our treehouse kind of way, but in a, like, somebody who doesn't understand, who, isn't really, like, doesn't have the grounds to stand on to make comments, make some inflammatory comments, everybody kind of, settles their stuff down for a moment and is like,
Yeah.
hey, fuck
I
you.
think that's
Like,
what I'm
you
trying
can't
to
just
say.
open your mouth and talk about, us as a gaming community, because, like, no matter if we bicker about what's better, or if Call of Duty sucks, or if MOBAs are, there's too many of them, or blah, 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 all the different things that exist within our gaming community. When someone takes a shot at the gaming community, you're right. Everybody, I feel like, I'd like to think that everybody kind of bands together and is like, okay, we can disagree with each other, but people on the outside, you can't just come in and, like, tell us what's what,
Yeah.
And I think that that is a nice sense of camaraderie in a community of video gamers. When you
Yeah.
meet somebody new in real life, that you get to chatting with them and then they tell you that they like video games, and you get to chatting with them some more and you find out that, they don't just like video games. They're like a video gamer, and you get to talk to them and you both kind of like realize after a couple minutes, like, oh, okay, we're both,
Yeah.
on the same level here, which is always cool.
That also reminds me of one thing that I also really like about video games is I guess video games, but just watching things with other people is just the conversations. Like, I can have in-depth conversations with people that understand video games on a level that I do on the internet, whereas like people at my work, I mention like anything Nintendo related and they're like, well, all we do is play Skyrim and Metal Gear Solid.
Right.
Xbox
And even extending
PS4.
beyond that, like, I mean, we can all talk about video games because,
Yeah.
like, we know them and we love them and we play
there's-
them. And sometimes when somebody asks you about your interests and you're like, oh, video games, and they're like, oh, that's cool. And then they try and talk to you about it, and it's not really their fault and it's not really your fault, but you're like, yeah, I play video games, and the only way to really explain this is if you also played video games.
It was
And
actually-
otherwise, I just seem like I'm 5.
That actually reminds me of something really funny. Jaeger's there, but this girl asked me on Friday. She had no idea. She was like, The Legend of Zelda, I always hear about that. What is it? Is it like more like Minecraft, or is it more like Magic the Gathering?
And you're like, it's more like neither, actually, is what it is. It's none of those things.
Yeah.
See.
It's funny, but I just said Minecraft because I was like, it's a video game. The other one,
You're like, it's got a
sort
sword.
of
I
is,
don't know.
yeah.
Who cares?
The
But
other one's a card game.
yeah, the other one's a card game turned video game. But
You ever played Hearthstone?
yeah. But yeah, just so like I was saying, the live aspect, talking to people about it, especially on like Nintendo Directs, I always want to watch them live because I can always have the talk to other people in like the chat room about like getting hyped. And I remember me and Jaeger, I think once last year maybe, we watched the E3 together.
Yeah.
That was pretty sweet.
I watched the Bethesda's E3 this year. I watched their live announcement of Fallout, like, in the bathroom at work.
Beautiful. Yeah, I watched
And
the
that's the
Nintendo-
kind of passion that video
Yeah.
gamers bring to the community, is that, like,
they're dedicated.
yeah, exactly. Like, I've got, like, a real big boy job that, like, I go to work every day, but, like, I'll go into the bathroom for 5 minutes and watch E3.
Oh yeah, I took my
like,
break
it
to
was
watch the
more
Nintendo
important.
E3.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I woke up like 3 hours before I had to go to work, which was an early shift, just to watch the thing.
Yeah. I remember I actually took my lunch and my break at the same time to make it an hour just to watch the
Make sure
Nintendo
you can
E3. Yeah.
So I would say our general consensus is video games are great, video gamers are usually pretty great, and the video gaming community as a whole, in all of the different avenues and outlets for it, usually I think is overall a positive, good thing.
yeah, so I guess basically there's a lot of different reasons to watch video games. Just because you might not like something doesn't mean someone else might not, which
I think
people
is the
get
core
confused.
message of
Yeah,
what we're getting
exactly.
at here. Just because you don't like something doesn't mean that somebody else doesn't like it.
Same with understanding. Just because you don't understand video games doesn't mean, I mean,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
even if someone doesn't, and maybe this is more directed towards people who did have like a negative backlash towards Jimmy
death
Kimmel's
threats.
thing,
Make death threats.
just
kidding. Don't.
Disclaimer,
I'm not
don't
trying to
ever
give-
make a
yeah,
death
I'm
threat.
not trying to give anyone advice or anything, but it all comes back to, you have to have a sense of self-awareness and your whole situation as a whole. Like, just because you love video games and if someone talks bad about it, you have the need to like backlash. If
You don't
feel
have
that
the
way,
God-given right to attack that person
you have
for
to
not
just
understanding.
put
video
yourself in
games.
their shoes. Like maybe they don't understand, but maybe they don't want to understand. You should be okay with that too.
Right.
Even if they hate it, you should be okay with that too.
Right.
Going to like the ends of your rope to threaten someone or try to convince someone to do a thing that you like and you love doesn't
Right.
make it right.
It's never going to work. I mean, you can use this argument anywhere, but the first thing I think of, because we were talking about sports, is nobody's ever going to be able to convince me under any circumstances that I should be a Dallas Cowboys fan. I don't like them. I don't like them as a team. Like they're not my team and I don't like them. So when a Dallas Cowboys fan gets outraged at some other fan and that fan gets outraged at them for liking that team and you're stupid for liking this team and all that sort of stuff, like it's the same concept. It's like, you know, they like the team that they like and you like the team that you like. Like you like the things that you like and the hobbies that you have. And although that doesn't give nobody has the right to attack you for it, you don't have the right to attack them for like maybe not really fully understanding or caring about what you are into. And
Right.
That's okay.
Just don't do something that's gonna come back and bite you in the ass. Because I mean, I'm sure he probably only got like a couple. He might have gotten like in the tens of death threats. But,
Even
like,
if he got one, that's not
they
okay.
came back and they're like, well, gamers are kind of douches.
And yeah, exactly. We've
It
talked
comes
about
back to
how the
bite us
video
all.
gaming community by itself as a completely like not even a single event, but how like how the media portrays video gaming, the mass media portrays video games as these terrible things a lot of the time. We don't need to give anybody any more fodder to villainize video games.
Exactly.
And if video gamers are giving people death threats, especially some dude like Jimmy Kimmel for just making a couple jokes about video games,
Yeah.
that's extremely counterproductive. And that's not anything that the video gaming community should be a part of. And if anybody does do that, I think that person, that group of people, whatever, they should be ostracized because that's not okay.
Yeah, so basically, I guess to sort of wrap it up, don't do something that might come back and hurt the community as a whole. Opinions are opinions.
It's very simple. Treat others the way you would like to be treated.
The
If some-
golden rule.
If someone asks you why you do it, explain it to them. If they don't get it, there's really no point in trying to nail it into their head.
Exactly.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Don't
Just
go overboard.
Exactly.
Try to be understanding.
Just hang out with your friends in a basement and talk about video games.
Yeah, get it all out. Maybe make a few death.
yeah, get drunk while you play
You
Smash
really need
Bros.
to stop saying make a few death threats.
I'm just kidding. We all good?
Yeah, we're all good.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us for the show today. A couple quick things before we end. Next week, we're doing our title in
Yeah.
progress.
Our first segment of no title yet, but we all
Title is pending.
Yeah, we're all playing a game. We're bringing on a guest who's also played the game, and then we're all going to talk about the game in depth
Yeah.
as our second segment instead of a topic of our
Yep,
choice.
that's going to be our topic. And the game is Pikmin.
Yeah, Pikmin for the Nintendo GameCube.
Oh, I
Which-
thought we weren't ruining it.
Oh, no, we said it
already
last time.
announced it.
We've announced it 3 times now.
Was I not here?
You were here. Remember last time you're like, what game are we playing? I was like, Pikmin. And you're like, oh, Pikmin.
Oh, I haven't started that. When do we have to beat that by? Next week?
2 weeks.
Oh, I gotta find a memory card.
Probably.
That's.
Oh, yeah.
I might have a memory card for you. Maybe.
Yeah, I probably got one.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing, what's it called? Need for Speed. How do you not have a memory card?
I've been playing the whole thing from the start every time I turn off my GameCube.
Beautiful. It's
Yeah.
like how I played Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah, I put in a passcode.
It'll be a fun segment, I think.
It will be a great segment. I'm super
It should
excited
be.
for
Every once in a while, like, we'll go around and we'll each pick a game or something. Or maybe we have a guest in mind who really likes a game and we could have them
Yeah.
on and then we could play it if we haven't.
And then tell them that their opinions are wrong.
Yeah.
we're just gonna berate them until they leave.
Absolutely. Until they cry.
So on top of that, if you guys want to follow us on Twitter, Guys in Their Games. We also have Facebook, Guys in Their Games. I forget how it
Hopefully
works,
we'll
too.
have Let's Play stuff on the way. I know we said that like the last 2 times, but you know, it's a work in progress.
Dude,
We're
yeah,
trying
I'm
to get...
excited. Now that Jaeger's getting his new computer, he can edit it all.
Yeah.
Even though he didn't edit buy the parts yet,
Yeah.
apparently.
The what? No, there's been a little mix-hat with that, but whatever. I won't talk about it here. But it's gonna be cool. We got people. I got a friend doing art for it.
Oh, yeah, we're going to be the Banjo-Kazooie people.
Yeah.
They're gonna draw our
Spoilers.
faces onto the Banjo-Kazooie people.
Yeah, it'll be a fun
Yeah, so our
time,
first
so.
Let's Play is gonna be Banjo-Kazooie.
We're doing Banjo-Kazooie, everyone!
Yeah.
We're doing the HD version, the HD port that was for the Xbox 360. And they also ported it onto the Rare Replay collection if for all those out there who have an Xbox One and have that.
Get yourself Rare Replay, it's
Yeah.
cool as hell.
Yeah, it actually is really cool.
Yes, it is.
So we have our Twitter, we have our Facebook, we also have our website, which is www.guysandtheirgames.wordpress.com. We have some reviews up there. We'll have some more coming up. We got some top 10s.
Will's writing a review.
Will's
Also,
writing a
if
review.
you're,
He is.
Yeah, he'll do it eventually.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
one of
halfway
these
through it.
days.
It's great.
I think I might end up writing one for Metal Gear Solid coming up soon, so
Yeah,
that'll
and if
be
you're
up
hearing
there.
this on WordPress or whatever by any
Yeah.
random chance, go to iTunes and follow us.
We're on
there, too.
iTunes. You can find our YouTube, Guys and Their Games. As of right now, we only have our podcast up there, but like we said, we'll be doing more stuff. Let's Plays, maybe some other stuff on there.
Yeah.
If you do any of these things, make sure you follow our Twitter because I tweet all
I
sorts
think
of
I'm
funny
gonna do
things.
a solo Let's Play of Star Fox Adventures. It's our first entry.
Dear God.
I'm just gonna get
I-
hammered and play.
You do that, and Burke and I will do a Let's Watch of you doing it, and then we'll put that whole thing as the video.
Like,
Yeah,
what
but
was
at
he,
the
what was
same-
he thinking?
at the
Yeah, we'll do like riff tracks. We'll be like sitting there, like making fun of you playing it.
Well, see, we'll be doing that, but at the same time, we'll be playing Assault, trying to get all the S flags.
Holy shit.
We've done it once before.
We have.
I want
Oh,
to be
Mike
involved.
was so
I want to
mad.
be involved with that though, because I've never played Assault.
It's
Burke
like
and I have
Assault.
played
But everything
Assault
I've heard means
We've
like,
beaten
it
it
leads
to
me to
any other
believe that
human
I
being.
shouldn't really even care.
No,
We've
it's
beaten
great.
it to a pulp. Maybe we'll do Assault as a Let's Play.
You and I could beat that game in probably
Anything
25
besides
minutes.
Star Fox 64 will do.
Sounds good.
Yeah, exactly.
All right,
so,
team.
No good games. No.
Hands in, meet back next week.
yeah, thank you two for joining.
You are very welcome.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.
I'm gonna cut this out, but I thought this was really fun. I thought this was funny.
Wait,
but
you about to drop some heavy spoilers?
no, but
You about to drop
Jaeger
some medium
got-
spoilers?
No, well, maybe for Jaeger's Twitter account. But Jaeger got kind of drunk the other night, and like
yeah.
Pro Jared tweeted that.
Oh
one of
yeah,
the
I saw
voice
you tweeted and you were like,
actors-
"Fuck you." You said David Hayter wasn't in it.
Yeah.
He was like, "He's not in it at all." And you were just like, "Fuck you! I haven't played it." I saw
Yeah.
that and I was like, "Did you just tell Pro Jared, fuck you?"
And then like 20 minutes later, he did a 360. He was like, "Hey, follow guys in their games."
I was like, if you actually look at it, yeah, I was pretty annihilated.